Okay, this one is called If Memory Serves. Now, this is certainly one of the more popular ones this season.
We were super excited to see what was happening. Kind of excited, but kind of weary as well. I mean, what was your first feeling knowing that we were... I couldn't figure out the timeline at first. I was like, okay, wait, are we going back to Talos?
Yeah, so let's make sure, just in case some people don't know the episodes by title maybe, but this is the one where they go back to Talos 4. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so we already knew it was going to happen because we saw it in the trailer from the previous episode. Mm-hmm. Now in this one, because it starts off with scenes from previous episodes and it shows scenes from the cage.
Mm-hmm. Which I loved how they did that montage of the original pilot.
It was good. They did some video tricks with it, which made it even better, but they chose some good clips and everything, and it was great to see Vina and the old Pike and Spock and everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Visually, that's the Star Trek that I love. I love the way that look is. So to roll it into the modernized one kind of was a bit of a visual shocker for me.
Well, yeah, because when you're used to something to look a certain way, and then even when they modernize it, I mean, yeah, we're used to seeing modern technology, but when you look at something that you know is supposed to look a certain way, and then you're going, it doesn't look the same way anymore.
I'm like, okay, now we're gonna put this giant bone on top of the Talosian's nose.
Yeah, and make them look like all the other aliens on Star Trek. Really?
Yeah, you took that crack out of the back of his head. I didn't get it.
Well, they didn't really. Did they show the back of their heads?
They did a little bit. Okay. They did a little bit.
They're no longer the bed heads.
Yeah, no more. So I didn't. And they're larger. And
they had these big guys playing the Talosians instead of the smaller framed women that were on the original series.
I very much struggle with the aesthetics when you're messing with iconic characters like this. So
yeah,
but I'm trying not to be negative. I'm trying to look at the positive and saying, okay, pretend I'm Ray Charles, pretend I'm not seeing this, and just focus in on the story.
Okay. Well, also we still have to say, okay, about Vina. Now we both agreed that didn't look anything like
her. I was like, who's this?
Yeah, it's one of those things.
The original Vina, piercing blue eyes, very soft, more.
She had more of a rounded face,
yes.
But she was beautiful.
Yeah, not to take away from that.
Not that this one wasn't.
She just didn't look like her. I didn't get it.
And you know what I thought the easiest thing to do would be to at least make her have short hair like Vina did, and they gave her long hair.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I mean, things like that. I mean, because if they're going to do it, then why wouldn't they make it look the same? At least as much as they could. I mean, Pike. I mean, come on, you got an actor who looks just like Pike.
Yeah.
But you couldn't get someone that looks like Susan Oliver.
Okay, whatever. So we'll roll with it.
So getting to the story now, and also Pike seeing the vision of Vina, and I mean, it was a good scene. Mm-hmm. I just have to say, okay, so he recognized her right off, even though to us she didn't look anything like her. But also, what I remember from the cage, he didn't really have a love interest in her. The way, I mean, because in this episode made it look like she's one of his lost loves. I mean,
it was.
He never really, because when he was in the cage, he was only interested in getting out of there. He cared for her because she was a human being, but not, they wanted him to be romantically interested in her, but he wasn't. That's the reason they gave him the other two women from the Enterprise, because they wanted him to have a romantic involvement with somebody.
Yeah.
So that part, okay, so had a problem with that. The other thing, but the other stuff that happened on Talos 4, I thought it was pretty good. The memory, now showing Burnham's memory, which the Talosians said they had to take that memory in payment to help Spock. Mm-hmm. Her memory of what she did to Spock as a child, that was heart-wrenching. That was
terrible.
Very
we
emotional.
Both jumped out and we just said, that is so horrible.
It was.
That's terrible.
It was a good story.
Yes.
For the episode. I mean, that part I liked because it was something emotional and because it was fitting, it was effective for this episode. That was a good part of the story.
Mm-hmm. And we could see that actually tied into the original series, because when Kirk was trying to get an emotional response out of Spock, he called out that slur to Spock. And so now we're seeing why it triggered Spock
Half-breed.
in such a way, yes, that he's been called that as a child, and it bothers him.
It's just something that he doesn't like. The way B'Elanna didn't like being called Turtlehead.
Yeah.
So it was something. It was an issue for Spock.
Yeah.
And Burnham regretted it, which we understand too. I mean, because that was all just a lie to get him to not follow her, but she really did care for him.
All right. So we went to Talos 4. We leave Talos 4. Next episode?
The next episode is Project Daedalus, directed by Jonathan Frakes. And let's see, this is where Saru finds out that Spock's murder on video had been faked. And it's the one that focused on Arium, so we learn more about her. So what do we want to say about Arium?
Okay. The only thing that we really know about Arium is the Star Trek Discovery comic series, the Mirror Universe one, and it showed how, and we didn't review that on the podcast, but we read them when they came out. And up until this point, there's more character development with her in the comic books than there are on the show. So
Right. She was there like all the first season and
in the background. She's strictly a background character.
And not many lines. And so, and then on this episode, but then we learn more about her here in this one episode. And so we find out that she actually was a human. I was wondering if she was like Isaac on Orville, someone who was from a planet of robots or something, but she's not like that. She's a human who was in a terrible shuttle accident, and she was given all of these mechanical parts so that she could live. And she became great friends with a lot of people on Discovery.
Yes. So I like that aspect that showed the crew of Discovery was accepting her even though she had differences. Right.
Because this is Star Trek. Because people don't care about how you're different. Right. And we love that. That's one of the great things about the show. And okay, so, and it's been building up though about Arium, right? We know she was infected by Section 31. We already knew that.
Yeah, we keep seeing those little red lights in her eyes.
Right. So this is where it comes to a head, where they are actually on another, what was it? A spaceship where Arium was with Non and Michael Burnham.
In those space suits. What would you call them? Right.
In the space suits, and they,
So they're all geared up. Everyone has to make sure that they're pressurized. And
so do we have to say spoiler alert?
No. Because this show's been on for weeks now.
Because everybody has seen this.
If you haven't watched it, tough.
So Arium, it turns out that she knows she's infected, which I don't think she did at first, right? But just right at the end, she knows that she's not in control of her body anymore. It is Control, the artificial intelligence that runs Section 31 and basically runs the strategic part of Starfleet. It wants her to get the data from the sphere. And you know, from that episode, I didn't realize that data would become so important. But they're still talking about it now. So she knows that,
but we're figuring out it has to be important for Section 31 to be involved and to affect a crew member in this way.
Yes. It just takes over her, and so, and
she
basically
starts going nuts.
She's trying to download everything, right? All the data from the sphere.
By any means, sure.
Even killing her coworkers, whom she doesn't want to do, but that's how she knows she's being controlled. So they finally, she says, you just have to shoot me out the airlock, and so Non does that.
Yeah. Well, I like that they ripped off Non's, that breathing apparatus that allows her to stay in the atmosphere. So it showed how it affected Non.
It shows that, so now we get to see that she really didn't need that, which she did say. That was something that Arium asked her about in this episode. Like, do you need that to breathe when you're away from your planet or something? And she said yes. And so yes, she got to say that it was important, and then we got to see how important it was.
So I think Nan is one of those background characters that I'm hoping that they develop further. I think she's really cool.
She is, and she's from the Enterprise, and I think maybe when Pike goes back to the Enterprise, she'll probably go with him, and we'll never see her again.
And that's a great link between TNG and Discovery, because that was the first time we saw her species was on TNG.
The Barzon, her
Yes.
species was in the episode The Price.
Yes.
Right. Okay. The Barzon wormhole. That's right. They had that wormhole. Okay.
So
So the problem is we never knew Ariam until we never got to know that much about her until this episode, and then she dies at the end.
Which to me makes no sense. Why didn't they not build up us caring about this character little by little throughout the season? Why just smash it all into one episode?
I think they really could have done a better job of the storytelling for this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I mean, there's no emotional impact whatsoever of her dying. I'm like, okay, I just found out about you a half hour ago and you're dead. Whatever.
Yeah,
Red shirt. I don't care.
Yeah, it's not as it's not as hard to see her die as it would be someone that we knew better.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Leah, remember the episode where we saw Saru was going to die?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was heart-wrenching because we were falling in love with that character. Her, I don't care. Bye-bye, robot.
Okay, and then when we get to the next episode, which is called The Red Angel, but the next episode starts out with a memorial for Ariam.
And the memorial service was longer for her than it was for Spock in Star Trek II.
Exactly. And anyone else who died.
Life,
yeah.
Literally my whole life. I had a Spock doll in pre-K. So I could say virtually my whole life from the earliest memory was filled with Spock. And his death scene was short, or his memorial service on screen was shorter than Ariam's. I'm waiting, I'm watching, waiting. I'm like, how long is this thing going to drag out for? Well, how did you feel about it?
It did seem a little long, and people talked that we didn't even know we were really that close to her because we didn't know anything about her. So
I don't get it.
So anyway, so that happened. Okay, so other things about this episode, The Red Angel. This is where Leland says Section 31 built the Red Angel suit, and that Michael's parents were working on the project involving the suit and time travel. And so this was a very pivotal episode for this series.
Yep.
And and this is where they had the DNA, where they said that there's no doubt about it that Michael Burnham is the Red Angel.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, spoiler, but okay, so how, that was one problem with it, saying they knew 100% for sure that Michael Burnham was the Red Angel, but then it turned out it wasn't her, was it?
I mean, this episode had numerous things that had me scratching my head saying, I'm just not getting it with regards to Michael Burnham and the Red Angel.
Okay. I mean, it was, that was fine. So a lot of people saw that coming, that it would be her. And so, I was okay with that. And of course, Michael herself was like, well, of course she doesn't know because it's from the future, but she accepted that it was her. And then, so they go through these other, plot devices where they want to lure the Red Angel and trap it. So they use Michael Burnham as bait to basically catch herself.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Strapping her to a chair.
Yes. Well,
which has got to be horrible, though. Can you imagine willfully getting all the atmosphere taken out of an area, what it must feel like?
And trying they want to kill her, hoping the Red Angel will come and save her. And then you would think, well, if she's the Red Angel, the future Red Angel would know that they tried to lure her that way and maybe might not even come if they knew that was the Red Angel probably knows it's a trap. I mean, that's how time travel is weird.
It is, yep. So we're continuing on with this time travel loop. Section 31, what'd you think about what happened with Leland?
Let's see. Was this the one where he got poked in the eye?
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time, I didn't know what that was. But like, what? Okay, so what just happened to him?
Me neither. Yeah.
A needle in his eye, and it actually pushes him all the way back into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
But we find out that is Control, taking over him. One thing a scene that I like, the emotional moment, after, so it gets revealed to Michael Burnham that her parents had been involved in the suit for the Red Angel. And then when she's in the gym, boxing and Spock comes in to talk to her. That was a good scene with her and Spock.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was in the previous episode, they played chess and it wound up being a fight with Spock turning over the chess table. So now in this episode, we have the two of them sitting and having a talk as brother and sister. And it was a good scene.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, showing that he cared. I mean, he knew what she had just found out about her parents and everything, but he still, was sympathetic to her. That was a good moment. And their development as brother and sister has been good.
Yeah, I think they're purposely trying to do that. They're purposely trying to give us some background with Michael Burnham's relationship with Spock and how his influence in the entire Vulcan society is influencing how she thinks and how she behaves.
Yes, how she's really very emotional. And when they showed her in flashbacks, in season 1, when they showed her in flashbacks when she first met Giorgio, and she was more Vulcan-like then, and she's more human now.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I noticed that too. Next episode?
Next one is Perpetual Infinity, and this is where the AI completely takes over Leland, and Dr. Burnham, that is Michael Burnham's mother, was in the force field the whole time. So right, because it revealed at the end of the last episode that it's actually Michael's mother who was the Red Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And so the mother, whom we call her, she was Dr. Gabrielle Burnham. So now Michael knows that her mother is still alive.
Yes.
So this person that she thought was dead, and had a completely different childhood and everything because her parents died. So now we find out her mother is still alive. But her mother has been time traveling all this time. Somehow she got tethered to a future time and keeps getting pulled back there, but she keeps trying to go back in time, trying to save all sentient life, because that's what we know the whole deal is, that the Control is going to destroy all sentient life unless they can change time.
It's at this point in the series that, quite honestly, I'm just getting worn out. I think this whole Red Angel thing is dragging out too long. I think all these side storylines are dragging on too long.
There's a lot happening, and maybe they just haven't made it as interesting as they could have.
Yeah, just for me, I'm just indifferent at this point.
Okay.
I don't hate it like I did third season Enterprise, but it's just, okay, how long are we going to stretch the story out now?
Yes, definitely. Now
nothing is coming to a close. The relationship with Culver and his boyfriend, that's still
right. They're still working on that.
Yeah.
They're stretching these things out. Yes. And to imagine that this show actually has shorter seasons than what we're used to. But, like if it was a network show, it would have 26 episodes.
Yes.
And now we're going to have 14, and maybe even with a shorter number of episodes, it kind of still seems too long because of the way they're stretching out the story.
The Leland being infected.
Yes.
That's interesting because I didn't see that coming earlier on. So now that's adding a different level to his being an antagonist.
I mean, I was wondering, do they even, did Control even need to do that? Because I think Leland would have helped Control anyway. Mm-hmm. but now there's no doubt. And, what would you think about, so the conversation about that Giorgio had with Dr. Burnham? I mean, there were good interplays.
Wait. This is the episode where she was coming on to him, right?
Oh, yes, where she came on to Stamets.
That was actually my favorite part of the episode. I love that.
That was so funny.
She's fantastic. I mean, when she is in an episode, the way that she gets under people's skin is incredible. I mean, people really can't stand being around her, and she plays up the Mirror Universe Giorgio in the Prime Universe, quote unquote, timeline fantastically.
He's gay, right?
Oh, that was so funny.
In my universe, he's pansexual. I mean, yeah, it was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that, and then there is so now one more episode. Through the Valley of Shadows, which is, the one where they go back to Borath and where Pike has the vision. More homage to the original series with Pike.
I'll tell you what, I like the way that Borath looks and the feel. It felt like TNG, DSN, Star Trek Klingons.
It did. It was, it was dark, and they said that structure was the only thing on the planet that wasn't natural. They built that, and the rest of the planet was still the way it always has been.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
so I enjoyed that. The idea of how the Klingons were guarding the time crystals, that was kind of curious. I didn't see that coming at all. How, especially visually, how the crystals would look and the effects of the crystals, even in that small area.
Yes, and the fact that it's the monks they're guarding the crystals, but isn't their job also to teach about Kalis? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're doing both. They guard the time crystals and teach about Kalis, and study Kalis. So they have this dual function. Well, I think the time crystal thing is a secret function.
My idea with this is that because of the time crystals, somehow, some way, they're going to make all of this that doesn't make sense to us in Discovery, they're going to make it make sense.
Yes, yeah, and they promise us that.
There's so many things that just don't line up. I think that they're just going to go through some kind of time loop, time change, what have you.
And they're making it all about time travel anyway, so yeah. And time travel is such an easy way out of any situation. That's kind of why I didn't really want them to use it.
We've done it so many times in Star Trek. I really don't. So I'm looking forward to just finishing up this season. Hopefully that they'll start fresh. I'm hoping that Discovery will stand on its own 2 feet by the 3rd season.
Instead of making so many references to
just stop
the original.
Stop. Yes.
But okay, so we do have to talk about Pike's vision. So he gets to see his future where he will be an invalid.
I thought they did a good job with that part and recreating him in the wheelchair, and
that was so emotional, and Anson Mount did it so well, and he played it to the hilt, and he looked scared. He was terrified.
Mm-hmm. Now, we read this story already in the IDW comic that came out quite a few years ago, and that was J.K. Woodward art in there too, about the scene of that the engineering room explosion. So, I mean, for us diehards that read the books and read the comics and everything, we kind of know about it, but now they're going to canonize this incident.
Well, the incident was mentioned in the menagerie. It was mentioned
in the menagerie, but we
just
never got to see it.
Yeah, we didn't actually see what happened.
We didn't see the details. We didn't see exactly, yeah.
So, Burnham and Spock went to investigate the Section 31 ship that didn't report in for 10 minutes. Then they find out the crew's been killed except for the one person, his name was Gant, that had been on the Shinzu, and Michael knew him. We saw him back in season 1. They had some good interactions there. What I like was just that Spock got to help Burnham, and basically Spock saved the day by thinking about turning on the magnetic field to defeat the control guy, Gant.
Yes.
So that part was good. And
I like L'Rell coming on with, she actually looked like Klingons that we're familiar with. Her gear, the red and the black leather.
She looked more like she was wearing armor, I think. Did you get the impression it was armor or not?
The silver I like the color combinations.
Yes, it was nice. Yeah, because we have seen Klingon women in red. That like Dax wore a red wedding dress.
Mm-hmm. And I remember red being a prominent color in was it Star Trek 6 too?
For the Klingons?
Yes.
Yes.
So I like that instead of what they were doing in the first season where it looked like bones and stuff, this is more along the lines of what we expect Klingons to be wearing.
L'Orel did, yes. Now for the one that was L'Orel and Vok's son on Borath, what was his name? Tenavik.
Mm-hmm.
His look was different. They made him more, well, you know, he was an albino and he had the headdress. He had the white, it looked like white dreadlocks.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that, about the headdress, how we both just yelled out, Babylon 5!
Yeah. A Minbari Klingon.
It didn't look like Minbari.
But yeah, he had a different look. But he's, and he's affected by time because he's not really that old.
Mm-hmm.
So he just grew up instantly. And so maybe the next time they see him, he'll be a baby again or something because he said time flows differently around the crystals.
Yes. Well, we got to see that with the plants growing. They're instantaneously growing.
So anyway, right now,
again, this thing is just, for me, it's just dragging on too long. It's wearisome. Am I going to continue watching it? Of course.
Well, there's only 2 episodes left, and it looks like it's finally going to go someplace in these next 2 episodes. I just want to say about Spock, you know, it's kind of disappointing that we haven't seen him as much as we wanted to. I mean, it was a long time before they actually got him on the show, and then now that he's there, he's only
They made such a build-up over him, and he has like a screen time of 3.8 minutes per episode. I mean, he's not in it hardly. He's a side character.
He's mostly there. It looks like he's just there to interact with Michael.
Yes.
I mean, which is fine.
But you know what, to a degree, I do like that, because I don't want this to turn into TOS. I want Discovery to stand on its own 2 feet. I want its own characters to be developed. So, to an extent, yes, I really do that. But the build-up for having Spock on here is...
There was so much anticipation.
It was on the front page of USA Today.
And we saw all the pictures of Ethan Peck as Spock.
Mm-hmm.
But the Spock character is already so well developed. Maybe they feel like they don't need to develop. You know, they added a few things to him, but he's already been seen on screen so much. The character Spock himself and Pike. Well, Pike has not been seen as much on screen until Discovery, so they're showing more of him. I would also like to see more interaction between Spock and Pike, just because we know in the menagerie, Spock is going to risk his career to save Pike or to give Pike a better life.
Yes.
And right now we don't see as much of like why Spock is that loyal to Pike. I'm
going to imagine maybe within the next couple episodes we'll get a hint of that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yes,
there has to be something.
The show is missing an opportunity that they haven't shown that. So what we have is the season-ending 2-parter for Star Trek Discovery. It was called Such Sweet Sorrow. So that, you know, part 1 and part 2 aired 2 different weeks. So what can we say about Discovery?
I'm gonna let you do the talking. I mean, especially the order that we watch the show. We watch Orville first on Thursday night, and then right after that we watch Discovery. I'm loving the Orville so much.
Yes, and Discovery, I mean, maybe because we had such high expectations. And it's not that it was bad. I mean, well, to me, I'm saying, so my opinion of the final 2-parter, the way they wrapped it up, was okay. I just kind of...
Well, we knew they were going to have the Enterprise.
Yes.
Right? We had the teaser.
Because it was the
previous
episodes.
previews. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a little disappointing, yeah, but I mean, I didn't hate it, but okay, so Michael Burnham, it turns out, had to go back in time and create the 7 signals. I mean, they figured out, because they didn't, like her mother didn't know where the 7 signals had come from, and then we find out, oh, Michael Burnham did it. And that was interesting, and they showed her, the thing is for this season, the way this was written, you probably should binge watch it. That way, by the time it gets to the end, the first part is still clear in your mind, because this connects to all the previous episodes, which was a good idea. I mean, the continuity of the season was pretty good.
Yes.
And also the short treks, because if you didn't see the first short trek, you didn't know about the character Poe, who was the princess who became a queen and helped them out a lot in this 2-parter.
Definitely. Watching the short treks is very important to truly understanding the series.
Yes.
Yeah, the way it is with Poe, with the Discovery being in the future.
Yes.
They were planting seeds with the short trek.
Now the thing is, so Discovery was sent 950 years into the future, and so that means for the next season, this one has been renewed for a third season. So it sounds like now, instead of being a prequel, it's going to take place in Star Trek's future, which is what I always wanted in the first place.
Absolutely.
Going that far in the future, I mean, I hope they can make something good out of it.
I could deal with that as long as it's in the future.
As long as it's good. But we still want it to be good, though.
Totally want it to be good, want it to be compelling, want it to feel like Star Trek.
Yes. And so being that far in the future, it's going to be after the Picard series in the timeline. And I would think they would have to see Dr. Burnham's mother, because I think they're going to where she is in the future. I mean, they might not. Who knows what they'll do, but it seems like they were going to wind up there with her. And now remember the episode Calypso, that short trek. In that one, I thought they said Discovery was not just in the future, but the ship had been sitting there for 900 years instead of doing a time jump from one time from like the 23rd century to the 33rd century. So in other words, I'm not sure if that fits, and I'm not sure if that was intentional to the writers.
I'm going to guess it was intentional. I'm going to guess that they're going to do something with this ship way far into the future. Yeah,
the Calypso, the two stories are not contradictory. They're going to make them fit. I'm
sure that's going to happen.
They could do a lot more. Oh, and the other thing is so now when this episode, they explained why Spock never talked about Burnham, because they had to make the whole thing secret. It had to be secured or confidential. So you can't talk about Discovery. You can't talk about any of this. And also, Sarek and Amanda understand that they can't talk about it either. And you can't talk about Section 31, right? Well, and Vogue Tyler, he's going to be in Section 31, which he already was. They're making him the commander, right? The leader of it.
Yep.
And that could be interesting. So that's to set up for the new show with Michelle Yeoh about Section 31.
That I'm very much looking forward to.
I am too, and I hope they give Tyler a bigger part in that, because season 2 of Discovery, he was a
statue the entire time. He was just standing in the background, nodding his head.
Not very integral to the story, so we hope he has an important part in the new series. About making everything confidential, I'm not sure I really like that. Why would we go through all this and now say that it has to be a secret? I mean, that's the way they want to make it line up with canon. I mean, really,
I don't get it. That's why I'm letting you do the talking.
Because you don't want to
I just don't get it. It's someone's Star Trek. It's just not my Star Trek. I mean, I don't care about pinky swears or eating ice cream I don't get it. Am I going to watch it? Of course I'm going to watch it, but it's not resonating with me. Hoping the third season, they'll bring it back to the type of Star Trek that I enjoy, but it's almost like Enterprise to me. I watched Enterprise just because it's Star Trek. If it wasn't Star Trek, I wouldn't watch it just because it just didn't work for me. Enterprise started working for me when they brought on, in the 4th season, literary writers, people who knew Star Trek, people who knew science fiction. Judith and Garfield Reed Stevens. We love their books. So
maybe Discovery will do that. I
maybe.
mean, we hope so.
Yeah.
And so what did you think about having the Enterprise at the end? It was great to see it, even though the bridge looked completely different.
I hated seeing it.
Okay.
It's not my Enterprise.
Yeah, because they changed it so much. I mean, they made the set like black. I mean, most of it was black with the colors
high gloss
splattered
floors.
Yes.
Giant bridge. Each station had multiple chairs, where the original series only had like one chair for communications. This had 2. I don't. Why mess with perfection? I don't get it. Somebody else likes it. I'm glad for those who like it. I just don't get it.
I didn't really like that they changed it that much. I mean, what? Yeah, why would you do that?
It's iconic. There's certain things that are just iconic. There's no need to update them. And the original USS Enterprise, I feel, just is that way, especially trying to merge it with this timeline visually. this time period, the crew of the Enterprise have turtlenecks. They do not have black collars. So you're saying that where no man has gone before with Captain Kirk, they're going to go from black collars, then they're going to go through turtlenecks, then go back to black collars. Like, I'm a very visual person, and just visually for me, it's just not for me. But everyone who else likes it and really loves it, I'm happy for them. Okay,
yeah, I do know what you mean, and I like consistency with my Star Treks, and so that. Yeah, that doesn't fit, and it's and the thing is, how hard is it to make it fit? I mean, for things like that, they could have easily made the uniforms the way they should have been. So yeah,
I don't mind a little tweaking, because we're really noticing it because we're doing this massive rewatch of the Star Wars movies in order, and when we watch Revenge of the Sith, it lines up with A New Hope, or especially with Rogue One. The end of Rogue One fit in perfectly with the intro to A New Hope. They didn't change any of the ships. They didn't say, well, TIE fighters should look different. Well, X-Wing fighters should look different. Well, when we look at the prequels in the Star Wars movies, they made sensible adjustments to what ships would look like 20 years earlier. But when we get into Rogue One, they line up perfectly with ships that were designed 30 years prior to that. And, in the real world, we're talking the New Hope to Rogue One. So, especially coming out after watching the Star Wars movies, how they work to try and seamlessly make everything smooth, then watching this, just being a visual person, it's hard for me to accept it.
And that's what I said when we did our last Star Wars special. I said, why can't Star Trek do prequels that well?
Yeah. But we both want to see Star Trek move forward.
Yeah, and hopefully they do a better job in the future.
I'm very hopeful for next season.
They won't be as confined as much, so that they'll have more freedom to do what they want to do, even though we still want it to be Star Trek.
Yes.
And it is promising that they're going to do it in the future, so we hope that it works out and that it's a great story.
Tons of possibilities going forward into the future.
Yes, I mean, will Starfleet still exist? Will the Federation still exist? And how will these people deal with leaving their families behind like that?
I'm looking forward to all the expanded universe material that's going to come out. The books, the comics. I think those are going to be able to fill in the blanks even more so. And I'm hoping that they do. I'm hoping that they put the green light on more material like that.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our Facebook group. Live long, and may the Force be with you. Nanu Nanu.